So, I mean, you've worked with some of the greatest. You've been mentored by some greats, and you've mentored others: Meg Whitman, Marissa Mayer, Mark Benioff. How does being an entrepreneur today and the advice that they need differ from when you started in this business?
It's way different. First of all, there's just not a boss that tells you what to do all day long. Today, we have to inspire people and motivate them and make sure that they can do all that they can do.
You talk in here about ego and how entrepreneurs can sometimes lose their way. How do you counsel entrepreneurs to make sure they don't get caught up in the wealth and the power and the arrogance, quite frankly, that can be Silicon Valley?
Well, I try to make sure we build values into a company from day one and teach how to be honest and transparent and humble. And the higher up you go in a company or in the world, the more you have an obligation to do better. And so I work really hard and try to select for founders that want coaching because it's not just our money. We care a lot about, you have seen our events. We have 90 affiliates that invest by my side, and we want to bring an army to go help a company get better. But it's not so fun to give somebody money that doesn't want to have help.
Well, and what's interesting about the way you invest is it's not just about giving them money. You also try to connect them with people that you think that they will be valuable based on your own network and the network that you've developed. What did you really want to accomplish here? I mean, do you think that founders aren't getting the advice they need, aren't getting straight talk?
Well, they might get straight talk, but I think what they aren't getting a lot is wisdom from the park bench, where you've spent a lot of years making things happen, and it's a lonely job, and I don't have an agenda. I'm just here to help founders get better. And so my son came up with this idea based on a Medium post he had seen about a dad dying and writing letters at certain stages of his life. And we were like, well, this is cool. We give advice all day long, but there's 90 or 100 CEOs for everyone we go give advice to. Is there a way to codify this? And then we did it for the network first, with a small deal, and the network said, you got to give this to the world because there's advice that helps a lot.
So let's talk about some of the founders who are in the news. If you were writing a letter that started with Dear Elon Musk, what would that letter say?
I would start it with, you're amazing, and you brought more innovation to the world than most people could ever dream about. And you need to keep being amazing, and you and your board should make sure that happens.
The media has been criticized for trivializing some of these headlines, and yet we're seeing him smoke marijuana in interviews. We're seeing him tweet nasty things. We're seeing him, share what seem to be untruths with the New York Times. How do you control someone like that?
I think you have to get him some advice. And
what about his board?
His board should be stepping up to work with him to make sure that it can never be just about the person running the company. You actually have an entity that's behind you, and all the company and the employees and shareholders are counting on the board and him to do the right thing for them.
What about Dear Mark Zuckerberg? What would that letter say?
It would be, I think Mark has come a long way. I met him when he first started the company, and back then it was, can we even build anything that anybody cares about? And then, oh my God, we have to celebrate how far along they've come. But every year, every new launch, the bar gets higher for what you're obligated to do, and the more people are using your product, the more responsibility you have to make sure it's done well. And I think he knows that there's more to do. And I would encourage him to do that as quickly as he can.
You worked really closely with Marissa Mayer as the chair of Yahoo. You navigated some very complex issues. What were some of the learnings there?
She's amazing. I mean, honestly, I loved partnering with her. And then I think it became a friendship as it went on. But it was hard. And she never, ever, ever backed down from trying to make everything work. But we had lots of hurdles to get over, and thank God we got them. We got it to the finish line and returned good shareholder value, and Altaba continues to do well.
I know you're really concerned about issues of diversity. You're working to bring diversity to your portfolio, but do you think she didn't get a fair shake from analysts and investors, and do you think that was because she's a woman?
I think So I've worked I may be one of the few men in America that actually got to work with two outstanding women CEOs, Meg Whitman and Marissa Mayer. And I think they got treated differently, and neither of them would ever want to say that they did. But a side story, one time Marissa went to an event and had colored her hair, and I had a board member call up and said, why are you letting her do that? And I'm like, look, she has hair. I wish I did. So that's got nothing to do with how people dress, and what color they put on their hair is not what we're here to judge. So I don't think men would get some of the same stuff that she got.
So what would you say in a letter, on this topic of diversity that started with Dear Investors?
Well, I would say, dear investors, I would say we need to be encouraging way more diversity in CEOs we back, in minorities and in women and in good ideas. And we certainly need to make sure when we fund a company that we hold them accountable for actually hiring diversity from the beginning, because that's how you fix this, is you start early.